We got a lot of college football to talk about on top of a little bit of the Thursday night matchup from last night. First, we're going to start with Miami versus Florida, College Game Day's site for week 4. Andrew, kick us off.
Yeah, so this is another exciting game as a Hurricanes fan. I think that I'm starting to get a little bit more bold on this Miami team just because of the fact that what we've seen over the last couple weeks. I wanted to give USF their credit, but this week against Florida, it's a must win, and in my opinion, it's almost a must blowout. I think the spread 7.5, 6.5, if you can get it there, is really good. And based off what we saw from Florida last week, that defense can hold up, but man, DJ Lagway doesn't look good. That Billy Napier ran offense doesn't look good. So if this defense with Ruben Bain on it can take advantage of what looks to be a very weak offense at this point, I don't see a world in which the Gators defense holds up for an eternity against Carson Beck and all the weapons he has around them. I'm hoping that this game gets a little bit out of hand and that the Miami ends up running up the score, because I think that this could be a major player. And like looking back and just looking back through the schedule when you're ranking teams for the college football playoff and being like, they got it done against not only USF when they had hype, but then back-to-back weeks against the Florida team as well, and then FSU in a couple weeks as well.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page with Miami that this team and their ceiling looks to be just about as high as anybody in college football right now. They should be able to take care of the Gators. I definitely would say if this does end up being the team that we think it is, this should not be all that close. Now, I do think Florida's playing hard for Napier. I don't know how that is going to look in week 8 if things continue to snowball for them, but they did play LSU tough despite DJ Lagway throwing 5 interceptions, and that should be accounted for. And there's a little bit of concern with Miami and taking care of the games that we think that they should win. That's been kind of a theme over the last handful of years. But this is a team with a completely remodeled defense that looks like they can send this team to the college football playoff. Carson Beck, outside of those 2 picks in the last game, he's looking like his 2023 self. That's great. And they haven't really missed a beat despite replacing all their pass catchers from last season. This is a really good team. I think they definitely cover the what is it, 7.5 or 8.5 or what?
7.5.
Yeah, they cover that in my opinion. I think this has got to be at least a double-digit win for Miami, but I think they'll get it done.
Yeah, and I hate to even see the narrative floating around there that Carson Beck's 2 interceptions. Like some people just looked at the stat sheet and were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
he's back to his old days." One of those interceptions was very clearly not his fault, where it got tipped up in the air off a receiver that the pass probably wasn't intended for him. There was 2 receivers. One was a little running a shorter crossing route. One was running a higher one. And the shorter one thought it was his. He jumped up for it. It got intercepted, right? The second one, or the first one, was probably a little bit more his fault, but he has been a lot more careful with the football over the course of the season. I don't think that it really is a resurgence of 2024 Carson Beck. And he really has been like slicing up every defense that he's seen so far, including a Notre Dame team that is relatively good. So I'm curious to see how they perform against Florida. And I also just think this is one of those games where you win this game and then you look forward to Florida State, and then the rest of the schedule, it starts like there's a very clear pathway. So you want to get this game checked off your schedule. You want to get the win early, and then from there, it looks like this team could be coasting through the ACC, because the rest of the ACC just isn't looking very good. So we'll see how it goes from here. But this is a team that you can really start to get excited about as a Miami fan, and just in general has all the makings of at least a college football playoff team, and that'd be the first time it's happened in school history. So it's just exciting to watch.
Dude, also, I'm a major fan of this running back room. I think that the running backs for Miami are really good, and I think that they'll be able to move the ball on a lot of different teams. The USF felt like they were just outmanned and outmatched in the offensive and defensive lines, and I think that's a really good sign, man. You got Mario Cristobal, in there kind of developing everything that's going on in the trenches, and they can move the ball on just about anybody in the country.
Yeah, no, I kind of just doing that to like
Oh.
simulate me getting into stance there. Mario Cristobal, former one of the greatest offensive line coaches of all time, is what they're calling him. Did you see that? Have you seen that floating around where the Alabama 2015 head coaching staff was just a bunch of dogs, like Mario Cristobal, the offensive line, and Kirby Smart, all Lane Kiffin, all those guys on that. I think it's funny that that Mario Cristobal was on the offensive line coach there, and now look at the offensive line for Miami. I think it's one of the best units that we have on that team, and probably one of the best in college football. So everything's kind of just clicking for this Miami team, and I want to see it work again against an SEC opponent, and then from there we'll see how the rest of the season pans out. But if we can get it done this week, I think that it pans into a lot of other great things for this team.
And if DJ Lagway plays like he did at points last year, I think that this could be a little bit closer. I still don't know if he plays well, limits the turnovers, if this is still a game that Florida can win. I do think this Miami team is really, really talented. Also think there's going to be a lot of buzz going into the next couple weeks, especially if they do handle Florida State, about them being higher than 4. Where I think people are going to start noticing, hey, look, their resume is better right now than some of the other teams that are ahead of them, or at least they passed the eye test in a way that maybe LSU doesn't. And I definitely would say that being at number 4 for them right now could potentially in a couple of weeks look like it. Maybe we were wrong. They should have been too. I do honestly believe that they have certainly shown us more than a team like Penn State. Now Penn State gets plenty of chances coming up to prove their number 2 ranking correct, but I think that this is a really, really good team and one of the best in the country.